Hey everyone, Flannel here. This is episode 14 of my No Skin to Pro Scrim series. This series is designed to be short, sweet, and educational, so let's get right into it. Episode number 14, How to Survive the Early Game. Tip number 1, time your landing. When landing, there are 3 things to consider. Number 1, drop earlier than others to make it to a location first. Dropping slightly further from a location, rather than dropping straight down over a location, will lead you to hitting the ground first. As you can see from this example, the screen on the right shows a drop on retail starting from a further location. The screen on the left shows a drop from directly over retail row. Although the screen on the left is vertically closer to the intended landing point, you will find that your altitude will decrease quite slowly and cause you to dangle in the air for quite some time. While this is happening, the person on the right would have already hit the ground and has gotten a head start on gearing up for the win. Number 2. Drop at low altitudes. The best places to drop are places like valleys, flat ground, or even over the water for the locations near the edges of the map. The low altitude ensures your glider will deploy closer to the ground than your enemies and thus increase your chance of survival. Here's some data by Kyunto on Reddit that highlights ideal tilted landing areas for the fastest drop. As you can see, the valley is the most ideal spot to drop because of its lowest altitude. Number 3. Aim for a chest that will not be contested and is easily accessible. This is to avoid dying immediately. The best way to ensure survival in the early game is being immediately armed for defense as soon as possible. Tip number 2. Do not open a chest next to another player. A lot of the times, your drops will have some pesky player attempting to grab the same chest you are. The best way to grab the weapon inside the chest is to simply let the other player open it while spamming your pickup button on the right side of the chest. There was a post on Reddit a while back that highlighted the fact that weapons drop consistently on the right side. So, as long as you are spamming, you will most likely end up with the weapon to win the fight. Tip number 3. Destroy all furniture if possible. In the early game, having materials is one of the easiest way to consistently come out on top. Many players find themselves distracted by grabbing as many weapons as possible in this stage, and often forget how important material is for winning early game fights. With some houses bringing you up to 180 wood upon exiting, you can head into combat without feeling limited, like most other players you will encounter. Tip number 4. Don't spend too much time gearing up. It is important to realize every enemy is doing exactly what you're doing in the early game, which is looting up to win. If you spend a long time looting before engaging your enemies, they will only gain access to more utility and require more effort to defeat. For this reason, you should find a decent weapon or two, gather around 200 materials, and search for nearby threats that are too busy looting to give you a tough fight. If you do this, you will not only have easier enemies to deal with, but you'll be able to acquire loot they may have consumed if you gave them more time. This concludes episode 14, How to Survive the Early Game. If you are comfortable with the tips provided in this video, feel free to move on to the next one, which will focus on peeking. If you like the series so far, feel free to like or subscribe, and see you next video. Just want to say sorry again, guys, for the late uploads. I've just been having a lot of schoolwork, so just bear with me in the meantime. So, see you guys later.